friend.
That must be Angel.
There he is, the man himself.
Welcome, my friend.
Ah, okay, we're going back to the Anointed. Okay, nice.
She is the Slayer.
This guy never gets less intense, does he? As it should be. Oh, they're playing games? Oh, are they Bond? Oh, is it father-son? I'm seeing a lot of Pedro Pascal and Grogu. I know that's not his character name. Din Djarin, whatever. Forget it. It's Pedro Pascal.
Still the Slayer takes him.
That's it, mate. Have a sniff. Make yourself feel better.
What would you do about it?
Colin, the caterpillar. Oh, what's he going to do? Start an inter-supermarket kerfuffle? Hey, I tell you what. Don't underestimate Colin, mate.
I'd annihilate her.
What?
Out of the mouths of babes.
Right, 0 to 100 immediately. Colin!
I will send the 3.
Oh, hello. What about the 4? Maybe the 5? Oh, okay. It's not these guys though, right? Oh, nice little fake out. I like it.
Angel? Hi, honey. You're in grave danger. I'll see you next month.
Legit. Oh, God.
Hey, Annie. Dino, just leaving.
How, to be fair, right, very impressive. How has he, like, nailed down Xander's exact dance style? Because that is exactly how I would imagine Xander dancing. I didn't know that was a thing. But now it is. I'm like, that's perfect.
Ouch!
Cordelia!
Off my $200 shoes?
$200 shoes? Then you are the fool, mate. Never spend that amount of money on some clothes or shoes or what. Like, you could step in a pot like that. Wow, that happened to me once. I had, like, pure white Converse. Let's just put it this way, right? Next day, I had, like, one tea-coloured Converse, one white-coloured Converse, all right? Okay, let's just move on.
Oh, look, a cockroach.
It's early. We could, dance.
Rain check?
Man, I swear, so many people have this thing about dancing with somebody. Just go on the dance floor and dance, man. Have a good time. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll be honest with you, I've been there. It's a really good time. Do you know what I mean? We don't go out dancing anymore, man. We don't. It's like, oh, let's go out and get smashed. It's like, what do we have to? What I'm saying is, Xander was right the first time. Oh, God. Very creepy, mate. I'll be honest with you. Okay, stalker territory. Now I'm feeling at home in a mid-90s show. Because it's not stalking, it's romantic.
Good dogs.
First time he's been actually helpful. Or on with the kicks, perfect. Yeah, wow, they're actually running. Interesting. A foe that Buffy can't immediately beat.
A vampire can't come in unless it's invited.
Oh, we're doing that rule. Right. I don't know if we've actually heard that out loud.
Take your jacket and your shirt off.
Oh, hello. Yeah, because that episode at the funeral home, when they were just outside, I was like, what's that about? Why are they just... Oh, hello. Monkey? Monk? Flying monkey! Sorry, I have no idea. I don't know. It looks like kind of like a monkey, I'll be honest with you. Also like a squirrel.
I live nearby. I was just out walking.
So, you weren't following me?
Very close to his nipples, really, isn't she? Oh, mother.
Honey, what are you doing?
You must be beat.
She's absolutely catching this boy's nipples. I mean this boy.
Can a daughter just be concerned about her mother?
Okay, he's put him away. Fair play. Too much power. Gotcha.
What do you do, Angel?
He's a student.
I'm glad that she clocked that he looks older.
Good night. We'll hook up soon and do that study thing.
Oh, he'll do what now? What? How old is he supposed to be? Can I just... am I going to regret asking that?
I'm the chosen one. It's my job to fight guys like that. What's your excuse?
Somebody has to.
Yeah, but why?
What does your family think of your career choice?
Exactly.
They're dead.
Oh, God. Trauma. I forget, actually, because my first episode was watching the first, middle, and last. So I suspected in that first episode he was a vampire. But I'm pretty sure I had it confirmed in the subsequent episodes I watched during that video. In the show currently, do we know that he's a vampire? Even if I'd not watched what I'd watched, I'd still be heavily suspecting it. He's just got vampire vibes, hasn't he? But that's interesting, because yeah, I'm like, okay, what's happened? Because like, that's why I'm asking the question, because I wanted to ask the question of why is he against the vampires? And hey, it's called Angel, so I assume we're going to find out a little bit more about that. We'll see. I'm very interested, though.
Pretty when you go to sleep.
Well, when I wake up, it's an entirely different story.
Bit of coffee, mate. I'll get you right. So to be fair, she's 16. Let's just calm down with the coffee, actually. Work into it, you know.
Do you snore?
It's been a long time since anybody's been in a position to let me know.
What a weird thing to say.
You spent the night in your room, in your bed?
Oh, Xander, back away.
Did you, did he,
He got his nipples in her face, yeah.
Can we steer this riveting conversation?
Giles, good to see you, man. Good to see you. How you doing?
And we're set upon by 3 unusually virile vampires.
Why you gotta use that word, Giles, though, mate?
You always know what's going on. I never know what's going on.
That's why it's Giles, mate.
We weren't here from midnight until 6 researching it. We must step up our training with weapons. In the meantime, the three, having failed, will offer their own lives in penance.
We failed in our duty. Now our lives.
Seems like an ineffective system. They're the only ones that actually have stood up to her.
You are the anointed.
Oh God.
With power comes responsibility.
Is he Spider-Man? Evil Spider-Man!
Their deaths will bring me little joy.
Good. What?
Of course, sometimes a little is enough.
Oh, they're the two now? Oh no, the one. Fair enough. The zero. I don't know, did he kill them all?
Let's begin. With the quarterstaff.
Nice, a good weapon.
Require countersize, vigorous training. I speak from experience.
Oh, hello. Break out the moves, Giles.
I'm not gonna need pads to fight you.
We'll see about that.
Oh,
On guard.
on guard indeed, mate. Absolutely recommend. Well. God damn it, I thought Giles was teeing himself up to be a quarterstaff master. What?
Let's move on to the crossbow.
Okay, fine.
Angel?
Hey,
Where was he all day? Here?
So, what'd you do all day?
Yeah, I don't think she knows that he's a vampire, right?
You read my diary? Hunk can mean a lot of things. When it says that your eyes are penetrating, I meant to write bulgy.
Buffy.
He didn't do it.
Your mother moved your diary when she came in straight. I didn't read it, I swear.
Well, this is awkward.
Over the bridge,
all I can ever
under
think
the
about
bridge,
is how
over the
badly
dam.
I wanna
think
kiss
it's-
you.
Kiss me?
I'm older than you, and this can't ever.
Oh, okay. A little bit of awareness as to that. Fair enough. How old?
How
No,
much older?
please don't tell me. Yeah. Oh, God damn. She asked it. Wait. Just let him answer the question. To be fair though, I don't feel like it'll change anything for her. Do you know what I mean? I'm putting my guess in right now. I'm gonna say 150. I reckon it's above 100. I'm gonna go 150 solid. Still like a young vampire. Do you know what I mean? Okay. That's interesting though, because obviously that is the most interesting idea I feel like they could have come up with on paper, right? You got this girl, this teenage girl, went to episode 7 of the show, right? She is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She kills vampires, that's her shtick. And then you've got this guy, this recurring character, this love interest, you know, very traditional love interest, very kind of bad boy-esque, only turns up, you know, every so often, but he's cool, he wears leather. Oh, everyone loves a bit of leather, do you know what I mean? Just I personally like it around the master, that's all I'm saying. I'm just kidding, it's the bald head. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. But with all that in place, the most interesting thing to do is to then have this switch up, I feel like, and then actually that person that they've set up very traditionally, actually, you know, I mean, maybe traditionally for me, I don't know how traditional it was at the time, but I feel like a little bit, you know, in terms of romance and boy meets girl and all that stuff, and, you know, girl goes for bad boy and all that stuff. I think it's very traditional up to a point, but then to flip it on its head and actually he's a vampire. And they've already kissed, right? They've already established that level of romance there and attraction there. And now Buffy has to deal with that. It's like on paper, that's perfect. You know what I mean? And it goes against convention. It flips that convention on its head and actually makes it something that it makes it this point of contention, this point of conflict between, you know, our main character, her main goal, and her love interest. Right, it's a very interesting dynamic. You can do a lot of stuff with that, and at its base level, it's just intriguing. It's just interesting, and it's like I said. I think, you know, even without knowing what I knew already, I was heavily suspecting it even from episode 1. He just had that look, right? He has that very Edward Cullen look. I don't know. You let me know again down in the comments. At the time, obviously, you know, because I guess there was less of this stuff, and the vampire coming in being this young, you know, good-looking dude, high school teen. Like I associate like Twilight, for example, do you know what I mean? It made this huge impression in the public space, the social space. But obviously when this came out, that didn't exist. So I'm curious actually, how many of you when you were watching it, did you know? Did you suspect? Or did this take you completely by surprise? I'm very curious. I was just prepped, I feel like, to identify that he was a vampire, right? Whereas I don't know people watching it contemporarily, I don't know whether that was the case. So on paper, a really nice idea, and like probably the most interesting thing they could have done with the love interest of Buffy. Also interesting that his prosthetic, his face when he turns was less vampiric. It was less grotesque, I feel like, than the others.
A vampire isn't a person at all. It may have the movements, the memory.
Exactly, he goes against everything we know about them, or we've been told.
There is no halfway.
Right, again, and that's interesting too, because not only is it, you know, this interesting inclusion to the show in relation to our main character, it's also an interesting inclusion to the lore that has already been set up in the show about vampires, right? It questions that, and it's like, oh, okay, what's that about? It immediately promotes intrigue.
All right.
Okay, Xander.
Angel's a vampire. You're a slayer.
Uh-huh.
Obvious what you have to do. Mm-hmm. You're in love with a vampire? What, are you out of your mind?
What?
Oh, hello.
How could you love an umpire?
Good save.
Where did you get that dress? You know how much this dress costs? Is this a knockoff?
Oh, Cordelia. To be fair, though, Cordelia is very consistent. I've got to give her that. What's the move, bad boy?
Who's here?
A friend.
Darla. Okay.
It's been
Oh, her. Sorry, I didn't know her name.
A lifetime.
or two, but who's counting?
Okay. Oh, I think he's older than 150, mate.
Remember Budapest? Turn of the century?
Okay.
Guess what, precious? You're not one of them.
I am already more interested in Angel, honestly. Just this in the background.
But I'm not exactly one of you either.
Right. Is he a special vamp?
You and I both know what you hunger for. It's nothing to be ashamed of. I hope I'm around when it explodes.
Maybe you don't want to be.
So interesting. I'm getting big Edward vibes.
Tell her about the curse.
The curse, huh? Interesting. Yeah, I have a feeling. I feel like Stephanie Meyer absolutely took a lot of inspo from this for Twilight and Edward. I'm getting that impression, dude.
Here's something at last.
Can you please warn us before you do that?
Never warn us, Giles. Don't worry, your silky smooth accent comes straight at us. Why am I talking like I'm not English? But yeah, I'm interested now that I'm kind of aware of this rich background, you know. Like, they go, me assuming he was like 150, still, you know, old, but a young vampire. I don't think he is. Turn of the century. I mean, this came out in the 90s, right? So he's at least 200. I don't quite know my history enough, I suppose, to clock the Budapest reference. But yeah, he's clearly got a rich history as well with Darla, and so he knows the master. I mean, we knew this anyway, right? We did. I actually like what that little scene with Darla did in establishing and making that history and that past with the vampires, and the fact that he was one of them and very much was a part of all that for a very long time. It makes you feel it a lot more. And it also, like I say, makes me curious about his life and where he's been, what he's done, and the life that he's had, and also the relationship that he's had with Darla, for example, but also the rest of them, and the master. And also, obviously, you know, it's peppered in the curse thing, right, as well. So it's like, there's so much intrigue in that. There's a lot of interest from me, just because of the way that one scene was presented and all of the questions that it kind of, you know, made me ask.
Some 200 years ago in Ireland of Angelus.
200 years then, yeah, at least.
This angel will have a tattoo behind his right shoulder.
He did indeed.
It's a bird or something.
Xander, don't ask why.
You saw him naked?
Don't ask why. No, okay.
So Angel's been around for a while.
Not long for a vampire. 240 years old.
Oh, okay. I was off by about 100.
Well, he said he was older.
He did.
80 years ago, the most curious thing happens.
Mm-hmm.
He comes to America, shuns other vampires, and lives alone.
So he is a good vampire.
Yeah.
100 years or so before he came to our shores. What was he like then?
People change, man.
But you've got to let me take care of this later.
Now it's personal for her.
Angel, he was the most vicious creature I ever met.
Interesting.
How we all work together for the common good. That's how a family is supposed to function.
I have this fantasy that Xander's just gonna grab me and kiss me right on the lips.
Ugh. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Boy can change. It's fine.
I mean, before he turned into... How was it?
Unbelievable.
Sorry, though. I'm so sorry, but she's 16. That is so creepy. Like legitimately, can we all just have a second? Because 240 is very old to be kissing a 16-year-old. Very creepy. I guess we gotta just move on. Do you know what I mean? But still. Yeah, no, I'm very much getting the impression that Stephanie Meyer's Edward was essentially an Angel insert. Like, they're pretty much that character.
Although you'll still get wrinkly and die. And...
Don't worry about it. He approached her when she was very young, so she's got the maximum amount of time. Let's just move on. Yeah. Oh, she's going to invite her in.
I'm Darla, a friend of Buffy's.
I thought she was studying with Willow at the library. Would you like to come in and wait?
Well.
Come on, Angel. Just say yes.
Oh, cue Buffy. Hey, he's doing very well, though. Oh, never mind.
Hey.
Yeah, okay, I know. Chill. Let's all just relax, yeah? Okay, never mind.
Your friend came over. I was gonna make a snack.
Oh, your friend. Say the girl. Say the girl. Say the girl. Oh, God damn it.
Are you another doctor?
It looks like it. He could get away with it.
No, Mom, this is Mr. Giles.
The librarian from your school.
Okay, she knows. To be fair, little thing, but I thought I was all ready to have a go at the mum when she invited Darla in and being like, oh, she doesn't know Buffy's friends, blah blah blah, you know, she's not paying attention. But like, to be fair to her, she knew about Willow, she knew what Buffy was doing, she knew that she was at the library with Willow, she knew what she was studying, she knows Giles straight off the bat. She's clearly paying attention to Buffy and what you know, who she's hanging out with, and she's interested, which is great. So sorry, I'm mentioning it because actually I was ready to have a go at her for kind of letting Darla in and not knowing automatically that Darla wasn't a friend. But it's like, how would she ever know? Possibly know. A little bit of respect for Buffy's mum there, to be honest, because yeah, she knows all these people and she is paying attention to her child, as much as in previous episodes we've seen her struggling and, you know, having a little bit of difficulty in her role. Conversely, we are seeing her actually put the effort in and the time in, and she is, you know, paying attention to her daughter, which is smashing, mate.
If you care about somebody, you care about them.
Yeah, it's introducing an interesting question about redeemability, right? Who is redeemable and how far can that go? And it's interesting, isn't it? Because the presentation of Angel so far in the show has been very... I'm in a very forgiving place towards him, just because like I haven't been there when he was doing all the bad stuff. So yeah, there's an element of presentation to him, which makes you more sympathetic to him. Because we've only really seen the image that Buffy's got of like him only ever doing something, you know, good things and helping and being a good vampire, right? And it's easy to forget that he was, for essentially 200 years, a bloodthirsty animal. The typical vampire that we've been taught to look at with fear, loathing, and the only response to them being to kill them. And so it's interesting. So while it is, you know, under the guise of this supernatural kind of skin, there is this question of where's the line for someone to be redeemed? Is it enough for someone to want to be good or want to do better? Again, on paper, I feel like yes, you know, if someone is genuine about it and they have changed their ways, that's the whole point. I mean, if you look at prison, for example, right, the whole point is rehabilitation. I think we've lost our way a little bit with that, you know. I do think incarceration has turned into something different. I think we've lost a little bit of the intention behind that in a lot of our systems, right? But like the whole point of that is to rehabilitate someone to change their ways and come back and be a person in society that can take part in that society safely and in line with everybody else, right? A lot of the time we don't get that anyway. You know, forget the treatment in prisons and the actual process of rehabilitation that isn't so much rehabilitation all the time. Once they're out of prison, it's so hard for them to get a job because they've been, you know, in jail and they're perceived differently and they're not given the same opportunities as someone who hasn't been through that. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of, I feel like it's a prevalent question in society today in a broader respect in regards to people who have done bad things, and can they be rehabilitated, sure, but can they change? I personally come down on yes, they can. Can they always? No. You know, do people lie? Do people fail? Yeah, also too. I think it's a complex question, but I like that they're bringing it up here. I hope they go into that a little bit more, and I actually hope that, you know, as we see Angel going forward, we see a little bit of that complexity to him, and perhaps people looking at him and coming at him with a little bit more, I guess, grayness, you know, not just being like, yeah, you're a good guy. But then at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but right now he is a good guy, or at least he seems to be. And for me, at least, he's showing that he wants to be, which I think is the focus, right? The important part of this episode and his depiction in this episode. And so, yeah, I do hope we have a little bit of that question explored, I suppose, with Angel's inclusion in the show. And I know that we get an Angel show as well. I hope we go more into perhaps his past and him reconciling, you know, that past self with his present self. And we'll see. Do you know what I mean? I feel like it's an interesting question, just in regard to human nature. Ironically, I know they're vampires, but, you know, I think it is. It's a huge part of human nature, and something that's so prominent, I would say, more so in humanity, right? As an aspect of humanity, and the question that I think today we still struggle with.
She wants to kill you.
Leave me alone.
I kind of want to see him be this beast in regard to Darla. She's pushing. Get in her face, mate.
For 100 years, you've not had a moment's peace because you will not accept who you are. That's all you have to do. Accept it.
That line as well is very interesting, considering we've got this theme of adolescence and growing up. And yeah, he's 200 and whatever odd years old, but like Giles said, he's still a young vampire. I think in vampire years he's still a kid, right? I know he's not a kid in the way that we measure it, but he's still a kid. There's still that element to him. And I feel like because we're seeing this theme of growing up in this show so far, I think that's interesting. That line that she just said to him, very interesting. It's like, will you just go along with how you're supposed to be? And it touches a little bit on what I've mentioned in the past about, you know, being raised as a man. Either which way you look at it, I think depending on how you're raised, you are supposed to be a certain way, be a certain thing. You see it in society all the time. You see it in schools all the time, right? Which is weird. And limiting, I think, personally, because at the end of the day, we're people with, you know, so many traits, so many likes, dislikes, and we're all different. I don't think you can categorize them into simple categories. I really don't. If you look at the gender binary, for example, those are two categories that you're shifted into very early in your life, and you're like, right, you got to be this or you got to be this, and it's like that doesn't fit everybody. And that's just one example, but I think we come up against that all the way through our lives, not just when we're kids. I think a lot of the time when we're kids, and I think a lot of the time that shapes us. But I think that's the point as well, is that, like I say, it's his adolescence. To a certain extent, he's still a young vampire. He's still coming into his own, and I guess there's that struggle with him as well of like, do I go along with how I'm supposed to be, this path that I'm supposed to go on, that I'm being pushed towards, that people expect of me, or do I actually listen to what I want? Because I come down on that side too. I come down on that side with Angel, because I think that's where he's going and where his character's going, and the I think that's where the core of what his decision making process is, and the difficulty that he's facing is that he's going with what he wants as opposed to the path that is being laid out before him from his culture, from his society, from the adults around him being like, you are one of us. And I think, you know, that doesn't quite fit with Angel, and good on him, because it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. It takes a lot of strength. It takes, you know, being disliked by those in your own community to branch out and actually follow maybe what is going to make you the happiest and represent who you are more so, while also, unfortunately, a lot of the time alienating these people over here that are supposed to be the ones that support you, which is annoying, right? Because that support is conditional a lot of the time. It shouldn't be. By the way, it shouldn't be at all. And I think there is that nuance here too, right? It shouldn't just be conditional support, conditional love. I mean, we talk about unconditional love all the time, but how often do we actually see it rear its head and have people actually demonstrate that? I think it's a term we often coin without actually practicing it a lot of the time, and actually without realizing it. Our love, our support, etc., is conditional. And sorry, I digress. I've gone a little bit off topic, but my point is that, you know, he is this child who is going against the grain and following his heart in the same way that any young human would. And I feel like that grounds him and grounds his character in, you know, the audience, because I can relate to that. I'm sure a lot of other people can relate to that as well. And I think it's also something that, you know, Xander's going through, Buffy's going through, Willow's going through, all of the characters in the show are going through. And I think that also brings him into the fold of them, right? It makes you feel like he's one of them as opposed to being other, which could also very easily happen. I think they're avoiding it by doing this with him, with his character.
All you have to do, accept it.
Yeah, and while she says accept who you are, it's like, no. You're asking him to accept someone he isn't, but who you want him to be. It's not the same thing, because clearly he's trying to show you and tell you that that's not who he is. But she's not listening. And I think that's so often what you get. And I think as an adult, you've got to listen, right?
Live.
Good.
You're hurting me. It's good too.
I think he's going to go and he's going to be like, kill me, to Buffy. And then Buffy's maybe going to see that he's not a pure evil vampire.
She's studying with Willow. She's studying with Darla.
There it is.
Her friend, the one who came over tonight.
Good.
Let's get it done.
Yeah, and again, it's showing that thing of like, yeah, judging someone based on something. A trait or where they come from or whatever it might be. It's that line from Angel of like, I'm just an animal, right? Yeah, just treat me like that, then fine. He's placing himself into that category because she is. And by the way, it's not Buffy's fault. We've all seen the episode. It's not Buffy's fault. She's been duped, right? But yeah, I feel like it is bringing that to the forefront a little bit here. This checkbox of categories, right? And judging them for that, even if they're not that. Yeah, there you go.
Come on. Don't go soft on me now.
Yeah, he wants that.
You attacked my family.
Why not? I killed mine. Killed their friends and their friends' children.
Oof.
What changed?
Fed on a girl about your age, Romani.
Oh, I recognize that.
It restored my soul.
Ooh.
When you become a vampire, the demon takes your body, but it doesn't get your soul.
Okay.
It's gone. No conscience, no remorse.
Right.
You have no idea what it's like to have done the things I've done.
And have a soul while doing it.
And to care.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting, cool, believable.
So you started with my mom.
I didn't bite her.
And why didn't you say something?
But I wanted to.
You kicked him out a window, Buffy.
Do you know what the saddest thing in the world is?
Bad hair on top of that outfit?
To love someone who used to love you.
Oh, I see. And he disappeared.
I made him.
Ooh, I see.
Scary.
Jeez, alright. Whoa. Wow, dodging bullets. Okay. Skills have improved.
We need to distract her. Fast.
Buffy, it was an angel who attacked your mama!
That'll do it, yeah. Nice. To kill his sire. That's got to be a big deal, man. That's huge for his character too. That's him making a choice finally. I feel like before this he was in both worlds. He wasn't quite sure, and that's what this episode's kind of shown. And that decision there makes him calm down on a side more fully. It's all right, mate. You still got Colin, the little psychopath.
Different.
Right? See?
Oh, dear you.
Oh.
She was my favorite.
Oh, poor Colin. Well, forget it. Never mind. I don't care about Colin.
She was weak.
Colin, man.
I'll bring you the Slayer.
Already?
And kill them all.
This kid, man.
In this way, I feel like he's still watching me.
Very creepy.
I don't need to watch because I'm not threatened.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna look this way.
Yeah, look who's there, mate. Right in front of you.
Look, this can't.
Never be anything. I know.
Not because he's a vampire, though, because he's 200 and something and you're 16. Okay, can we just establish that, please?
You're like 224
Okay,
years old.
good. Whew. Okay. What is this thing that we have, that we love? Creepy old vampires getting with teenage girls. Do you know what I mean? Like,
What's going on?
right.
Well, as long as they're not kissing.
Whatever, man. It's fiction, I guess. But there's an element of creepy to it, okay? That's all I'm saying. I won't mention it again, maybe. I don't know. Can't promise. Well, ouch. Okay. There we go. Angel. Hey, I tell you what though, it did its job because I'll be honest with you, I find Angel so much more of an interesting character for this episode. I mean, hey, that was absolutely what it's supposed to do, right? But yeah, going forward, I really want to see a little bit more of that complexity of, yeah, coming to terms with. I mean, hey, I feel like actually this episode came down on the side of, at least for now, this idea of him being, if not redeemed, being redeemable, which I think is good. Like I say, I feel like I come down on that side. Interesting that it was framed as a curse as well from Angel's point of view, which I feel like from his point of view is not incorrect either, right? To be that person. It goes back to last episode actually, and the kids who were hyenas essentially and who, you know, ate the principal. And they remembered that. That's essentially what Angel is, but over a much longer period of time. It's that idea of like, yeah, I did that, but that's not me. So anyway, sorry, I feel like the framing of the reason for it actually goes a lot of the way, at least from, I feel like the audience's point of view, my point of view, to making me feel like he's fine. You know what I mean? I think if it was a thing of like, no, he was still himself back then, he's just had a change of heart, then it's a little bit more complicated, maybe a little bit more interesting actually. But at the same time, I appreciate that they've got to have a reason maybe for it, considering the vampire and the type of vampire they've set up previous to this, right? And hey, like I say, there's clearly a lot more that, you know, these folks wanted to explore with that, because I know that there's an Angel show that runs alongside Buffy at a certain point as well. So yeah, interesting. But also it makes me wonder, how much of Angel am I going to see in Buffy? You know, I don't know. Interesting. We'll see. But yeah, I feel like, again, a good foundation for his character and going forward. Well, we'll leave that there. Thank you very much for watching. That was Angel, episode 7 of season 1. We'll be back semi-soon, I guess. I don't really know with the Buffy stuff, but it will be coming, I promise you. Thank you, as always, to my lovely patrons, you beautiful people. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you to the rest of you as well. Other than that, it's been a pleasure. I will see you very, very soon.